Thanks for joining us. I'm Gail Pascal Brown. This car belonging to missing Port Orange teacher Robert Hica, who was last seen October of 2020, has been found in a canal in Volusia County. A body was also found inside. While a positive identification will take some time, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office tells us that authorities have been in contact with Hica's family. West 2's Haley Crumbleholm spoke with the teams which worked to find the car. And Haley, how did they finally find it?
So they say they look a lot at where the cell phones pinged, where that person was coming from, where they were going. Two volunteer organizations that specialize in underwater searches are who helped. They found the car here off of Pioneer Trail in New Smyrna Beach.
He's been missing since October of 2020 and unfortunately found today.
Andrew Gant, public information officer with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, says volunteer search teams notified their office this afternoon they had found a car in New Smyrna Beach and matched the tags with those on Robert Hica's car. Recon Dive Recovery and Sunshine State Sonar were the two volunteer groups that worked to find it.
Yeah, just coming around the corner, we were walking down and looked to the left, and I saw what looked like the roof of a vehicle protruding from the water, and I just yelled to Ken, I'm like, I think we got him.
3 years, guys.
The groups look at where a person was leaving from and heading to and where their cell phone last pinged to determine bodies of water to search. They've been working to find Robert Hica since October of 2022.
They had sent us to Orlando to check a possible foul play. We did 40 ponds in 12 hours in the middle of the night, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. And knocked out, 40 bodies of water, ruled out the foul play aspect out of Orlando and started focusing back on this area.
They say the spot in New Smyrna Beach where Hica's car was found is just a few miles from his home.
It just feels so good to give these families answers. I would never say it's closure, because there's never closure for a family that loses someone like this. It's answers. It's answers to what happened to, what happened to their loved one.
Now, again, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office says it will take some time to formally identify that body found inside of the car. Live in Volusia County, Haley Crumbleholm, West 2 News.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for being here. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, leave a comment when we're done. We're going to jump right into this. We have two amazing individuals you just got through hearing the news clip on, and we're going to hop right into it. Here we go. There's Ken Fleming from Recon Dive Recovery, and we have Michael Sullivan from Sunshine State Sonar, who literally are the heroes in this case. Do not get it twisted. I did not find these people, but we are spreading awareness for other groups that are doing this, and it's really important to do that. So thank you guys for being here. You want to take a second to introduce yourselves, please do so.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, got you.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm Mike Sullivan with Sunshine State Sonar.
Ken?
Hey, good evening, Doug. I'm Ken Fleming with Recon Dive Recovery. Mike and I partnered up about 6 months ago. Mike's been doing it a little bit longer than I have, and we've been working on this case for a long time. This has been one of his passions for a long time, and we can go ahead and talk about the whole thing here.
Cool. Yeah. So let's get into like how long you guys have been doing this, your story, and then we'll jump right into the case.
Yeah, sure. I started doing this in June of 2022. So not even a year yet. So we've been doing this close to 10 months, and we started on the Robert Helfrey case. I started doing this, Doug, because I was inspired by you. You've been a huge inspiration to me, watching you and the success you've had. And I've seen you watched you, with AWP and stuff. It was just amazing what you guys are doing. I said that this was the best thing I've ever seen on a TV screen. And I wanted to be part of it. I've always used sonar for fishing and stuff like that. And so I purchased a small boat, purchased a side scan imager at the time. I didn't have a live scope because I was on a budget. And I eventually did get the live scope, but, just started doing this, just inspired by watching you and a couple of the other guys that have been in the business. So it's just been a heck of a ride. In the last, we've already solved 2 cold cases in less than 3 months now. We've closed out 2 cases, and we've recovered probably 60 vehicles underwater. We've had a lot of success, and a lot of that's just from watching you. I've learned so much, you know, going through your videos. I remember when I first got into this, I used to rewind and fast forward right to the parts where you guys would find vehicles, and I would look at the screen and study to see what you guys were looking at. How did you guys know that was a car? Just dissecting everything you guys did. I used to screenshot every vehicle you guys found on sonar, and I would look at those pictures and you know, and just kind of get an idea. And I guess that's how, you know, I've gotten, you know, to be as successful doing this. Just, you know, studying your work, your craft.
Cool.
Yeah, and then
I appreciate the respect, man.
Yeah, and then on my side, I had actually been out of the water for a while, but I did some cave diving and progressed along that over the course of 5 years to the level of expedition exploration level. Actually, discovered New Cave in Florida and got to draw the map and write map on New Cave, which is its whole other story. It's a very interesting story. But I got called in just right place, right time a few times for some cave recoveries. One was when I was at the cavern level, and I, of course, only dived to my training level. So we did 2 support dives on a attempted cave rescue, and then another one was just showing up the right place, right time with Trimix to be able to provide the guy who was going 160, 170 feet with the right mix. Another time was a recovery with recovering the person's equipment. After the day after the recovery was completed, going in and pulling the equipment, pulling the reel, closing the cave off, that kind of thing. So I'd done some of that and been dry for a while, and I started getting back into it. And again, saw the content just like Mike did and thought, why didn't I think of this? This is great stuff. I can be effective. I'm a highly trained diver, so I'd like to get into it. So I started building out a kit. I was looking at the equipment, like Mike said, using some of your footage as training. What's the sonar settings at? Looking at other content. How are they finding these things? What equipment are they using, and how and why? So got into that and put together my first kit, which was striker cast bobber, to just get bottom contours and depths and start ruling out a few spots from depths. And then finally got my Garmin 93SV side scan sonar and live scope unit, and put them into a kayak and did some scans and found something. And that was right around December. I partnered up with Mike and I said, hey, I've got something here, but my live scope isn't working. I'm doing it in my kayak. Get out here and tell me what I've got. And I think it's a vehicle. And sure enough, it was. And we did our first recovery together in Coco. But right before that, we did our first search for Robert Heika. So I ran around with the guys and did a search for Robert Heika, and then we did the one in Coco. And we've kind of been, inseparable ever since, with Mike being, the sonar expert of our group and me being on the dive side.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I know a lot of people on my platform don't know who you guys are, and the links are in the description below for those guys' channels, Sun and Science Day Sonar, their social pages, their websites. They're also fundraising as well. These guys are absolute, man, they're going hard. You guys have been up night after night, working all nights on cases. You're also working with law enforcement down there in Florida, left and right. And honestly, I don't know anybody in the state of Florida who's coming close to putting in the level of work you guys are on, the efficiency level that you guys are doing. It's out of this world. And Mike's little boat that he's using, some people may think that thing looks corny, but that thing is super. In Florida, where you have a body of water every 50 feet almost, anything bigger than that is absolutely inefficient. Mike and Ken are out there, they're going through. How many bodies of water you think you've been able to search in one day with what you're using?
Orlando, Mike, how many we did that one night, 12 hours straight? We did what?
40. I think we did 40 bodies of water. I mean,
big lakes. Mile across lakes to tiny little ponds that are, barely big enough to fit a vehicle into, like the last one. We can pond hop like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's the way you got to do it down here is, we have everything set up in the boat. So literally when we pull up to a body of water, like 2 guys grab the boat, sonar's in it, everything is set up, the motor's in it, it's pick it up, you're in the water in 30 seconds. When you're done, you're out of the water in 30 seconds and you're on to the next one. And it just keeps us fast and efficient.
And in the case of that Orlando, we're in the tourist mecca, so you can't be, diving for bodies while tourists are walking around. So we'll go hit those at night, and we'll work 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. through the night, and we just look like
Yeah.
pond maintenance. Sometimes we put on the orange lights and the yellow vest. It just depends on what we're doing. We use different tactics. Sometimes we work directly with law enforcement and property owners. Sometimes we just go on public property. It just depends on the tactics in the area. Sometimes we want high visibility in certain neighborhoods or in certain areas where we, go in the daytime and do high visibility and ask for escorts. It just depends on the situation.
All right, so let's jump into Mr. Hica's case, where he is a beloved school teacher in the Port Orange School District for over 30 years. He goes missing 2.5 years ago without a trace. We now know, there were a little bit of things that were tracked on his whereabouts, but there was nothing really solid to go off of. And just bring us into what you guys have done. For those of you who aren't aware with Mr. Hica's case, I did a search for him with the last search organization I was with, it's about a year ago. And, we really focused on his home and near where the cell phone pinged. We were really on a tight schedule. So we were working on the most logical places of, where he could possibly be, and bring us into where you guys picked up on all of that, what you guys have done, and how you guys come to find Mr. Hica.
Yeah, I think, it was almost, I'll start because it was about, 2 years after he went missing. And the episode that you guys did not air yet. So, we actually didn't even know that you guys worked on it. And I had just sent an email to the detective that was handling the case, and he responded immediately. So you could tell that these guys were eager to get help on this case. And we went up there. No, it was Detective Mike Wallace, which he retired now. He's no longer with the department, but funny enough, he was the first one on the scene the other day. So he was definitely he's a passionate detective. What a great guy. But so we got involved with them. We met them, and then we started searching all these bodies of water. We knocked out 40 bodies of water. It was kind of funny. After it was all said and done, we had 40, the closest 40 bodies of water done to his house. We found out later that you guys had worked on it, and I asked you for the map, and it was like, oh my gosh, we just redid everything Doug did.
Yeah, when you got a hold, when you got a hold of me, it was absolutely it was a no-brainer.
I didn't know. Yeah, we had no idea you guys were there. So, but
and we picked up, we overlap because you have the same sense that we do. It's until I've searched it, it hasn't been searched. And so everyone has that. I must be satisfied on my own, and sometimes it's that determination that turns that anomaly that looked like a rock into wow, there's tires sticking out, and wow, it's actually there's a whole vehicle under the silt, and there's one thing sticking out, which Mike has found before. So. It's that, there's certain teams you trust their work. Yours is one of them where, we're pretty sure these have all been checked, but we did overlap some spots, and we did check some of the more shallow spots. We worked a lot of the same areas, and we spent multiple searches going to the more obvious spots, the big ponds with no guardrail along the main roads that he was traveling home that night, the things that led to the cell phone ping, the real easy to slip into spots, and even, some possible self-harm spots and some other spots like that were remote, that if there were strange circumstances, where would someone, go? So we looked at all of that, and, over 5 searches that Mike did before I came around, 3, I did 2 with him. I did 1 solo as well to check a few really remote spots, and just getting nowhere. And then let me pull this up real quick. Is we went into an area of Orlando because the officers asked us to rule out a foul play scenario in that area. So we there was a video spot. You can see the vehicle there with 2 cell phone towers in white, and then the other cell phone tower in red. The red cell phone tower is actually where they got a cell ping across the street. He stopped at that Walgreens at 3 o'clock in the morning, lingered for a few minutes, went across the street to that parking lot, which is at the fun spot area, and then he jumped on I-4 and left on I-4. And so we thought, well, what if he just happened to be there and the cell phone and the vehicle separated? You know, what if there was foul play or something? So that was the night that we did those 40 bodies, 12 hours straight in the middle of the night. And we like industrial spots because they're real private at night. We like some accident spots. You can see that big lake in there just by the towers. We must have spent I don't know, a lot of time on that one. Burned a whole battery on that one. So
Yeah.
we ruled that one out first, and then we went back into this spot here is actually one of his old residences, and we had no reports, no reason to suspect early onset Alzheimer's, but it is always a possibility, and people sometimes return to areas they know. So we started thinking, okay, well, maybe we need to look there. There's a road, you can see the green arrow. There's a road that goes right to water near his old house, so we wanted to check that. We had heard that this was not a likely possibility, but we just wanted to check the obvious spots there. And then we kind of led into, you can see that area in the purple on the right, and then the two orange spots in the middle. The one on the left is the school, the one on the right is his home, and it's basically walking distance apart. And you'll see a lot of overlap between the stuff that you guys have done in the past and we had done. You got the cell phones on there. The red ones are hard ruled out because they're just not deep enough. The orange ones are either we wanted to get in there, we didn't get access, or we wanted to recheck them for some reason. And the greens are we have put a boat in the water 100%. It's been checked by us. So we started homing in on that area. And then this is, you can see the school in the top left corner, his house top middle. So we checked those areas really hard. And on the far right, you can see those three. Those were, possible, self-harm areas where he might have been not too far from his house, but he could have been really isolated. So we looked at those areas, and we kind of ruled everything out in that area. You can see that where the car was found between those areas, where his home were, and where the last cell phone ping, which is the red tower. We've got these concentric circles. Those are your 1 mile rings going out 5 miles either direction. And you'll see the white X's. Those are either private properties, locked gates, or places where you need to go and make a phone call. There's a private preserve that you can get into. Maybe a local had access to that. Maybe someone who lived there for 20, 30 years had, a gate code to something. So these were things that you can see a lot of red in the middle, but they're off the road. And all of those are private property, lock gates, power line roads. So we started really concentrating on this area again. And Mike, that's where Mike's gut feeling came in. He said, man, he's somewhere in between there. I'll pause here for a second. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit more. So, Mike had that gut feeling. We were rechecking ponds. Mike, speak to that a little bit, and then we'll zoom in a little bit more.
Yes, I mean, we did that ground search back in November, and one of the things when we were walking in the woods on Pioneer Trail, we found this. I mean, this little creek, Ken, it's about 15 feet wide, and this thing is set way off the road. And we at the time that we found this creek, we had no sonar equipment with us. I was using the bed of my pickup truck. We had all the trucks that were carrying volunteer searchers that were walking the woods, and that area was completely flooded. It was like a flood zone. We found that little creek, and all I had in the backseat of my truck was one of my magnets. I threw the magnet in just to try gauging the depth of this creek, and I would have guessed it was like 5 or 6 feet at the time, maybe. So we just kept tossing it in different areas. We didn't catch anything, but we're just like, we moved on from that search. And then fast forward 5 months later, when we were planning this trip again, my brother John, John says, hey, Mike, he says, do you remember that little creek we found in the woods? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, we should go there with the sonar equipment and search that little creek. And, I was thinking in the back of my mind, like, man, that thing's not going to be deep enough, but let's go there and look at it anyways. And lo and behold, make a long story short, we go there, we search it with the sonar bobber a couple of times, and we're walking down through the woods. And this thing is long. It goes probably a couple 100 feet in length, and just walking through the woods. There it is. There's his vehicle. But it was just crazy because my brother had remembered that, off that ground search, and we didn't even remember where it was. But Shelly, she does all our mapping and stuff for us. She's up in Virginia. She's awesome. She's a huge player in our team. And I text her, I was like, because she actually drove 12 hours from Virginia down for this search. That's how dedicated this girl is. And she came down and so she remembered where it was. She dropped me a pin. She's like, Mike, it's right here in the woods. You can't even see this thing on Google Earth. I mean, it's hard to see it if you could make it out at all. She remembered where it was. We got back there, you know, and the rest is history. We found them.
Yeah, and in that spot, the brush is actually, you can see in this other photo how thick the brush is. You know, it looks like, oh, there's a road right around it. You know, if you go back to this picture here, you can see, you know, I've got the white car on there, but there's a white car actually on the road right there on the pavement. You can see how small a car could easily fit in there, and what the actual scale of that would be. And when you go back over to this is what we're looking for. And when they searched this pond previously, we have pictures of Mike searching this pond with a magnet, because he just didn't have the equipment at the time, throwing magnets in it. And unless you hit it right in the right spot, you're just going to not hit it. And so we were running the Striker Cast bobber on this. And the first time I cast out, it was, you know, less than 2 feet. We got 0 reading because it has to be a little bit over 2 feet to get any kind of return at all. Otherwise, it just looks broken. And then the second time, we've got 3.1, 3.5 feet. Then the other side of a little 3-tree island, we got, you know, 2.5 feet, and like, oh man, it's getting shallower and shallower. And we were getting hung up in this brush with our caster to the right of where this picture is. And so we moved around the back. There's a little more grass and sparse trees. And I'm like, hey, let's keep casting down the side here. Hey, Mike, you know, find me a spot to cast on the other side. So we walked around to the other side and we're looking for a spot. And then Mike puts out this yell. Go ahead, Mike.
We can't show that on video.
Yeah.
That was raw emotion.
Yeah. Well, previously, go ahead. You just want to what?
Oh, I just wanted to, you know, touch base on something really quick and clear something up. And there's been a lot of comments online about how could you have not found this car sooner and everything else. What people need to understand is this thing is this canal is set so far back from the woods, and that area was absolutely underwater. We needed, at the time, we were wearing waist-high boots to get in there. And the other ponds that we searched in that area, Doug, you know those ones on State Road 44? Those ponds,
Yep.
when we checked those, were about 15 feet deep. They're down to 7 feet deep. So that water has subsided about 50%. The levels have where they were back then. So the vehicle was not visible at all when we were searching that area back in November. It was underwater. You would not have seen it.
Yeah. And anybody who makes comments like that, just there's no sense in even feeding into all that.
And also,
the bottom line is you guys did what it took to find this missing teacher. That this entire community, he was a pillar of his community. Taught for 30 years. When I was there at Daytona Beach, I was with a group of about 20 kids, and for about an hour, all I did was hear about Mr. Hica and what he meant to them, and you know, story after story, and you know, you guys were telling me stories earlier about how, you know, one of the rescue members that responded after you found him, it was his teacher. So I mean, hats off to you guys for sure, man, for putting in the work necessary to take, you know, to be able to do this. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either. But you got to be willing to work hard, and you got to be willing to do something the next man hasn't been able to do. And that really sums it up right there. And it takes a certain type of caliber of individual to get out there and do that. And man, you guys are just knocking it out of the park.
And when we rolled up onto that area, there were car parts. I'm able to show those here. This is a spot. We talked to the landowner towards the end of the day, and apologize for trespassing a little bit, but we brought the cops with us. But you can see these car parts were everywhere. There were fronts and rears of cars all over the place. And even though it looks straight there and it doesn't look like much of a turn, it's one of the only bendy sections of road, a nice little S-turn in the whole county. And people, even with cones out, even with flashing lights, even with an officer there, they're hitting that curve at 60, 70 miles an hour to enjoy the curve in the daytime. So you can imagine at night, overspeed, et cetera, what could have happened there. And I guess there had been 5 fatalities on that property in the past. You know, we hope that maybe they'll put better signage, maybe drop it from 45 to 35 in that area, maybe some rumble strips, because it's a deceptively easy spot. a deceptively easy spot to lose control.
Yeah, a guardrail probably would have saved his life. You know, it still could have been a fatal accident, but guardrail probably would have saved his life. Definitely, he would have been discovered the same night he disappeared.
Yeah.
That stretch of road right there, late at night, there's some traffic on it, but it's really easy to go a mile or two without seeing another car. This was, you know, based on the information that you guys have relayed to me, the location, this is absolutely an accident. You know, for whatever reasons, he went off the road, went through that brush into that canal, and nobody ever saw it.
Yeah, and you
So
know,
I think that's safe to say that.
yeah, it's strange because the cars,
100%.
yeah, the cars actually flipped 180. So what we believe is that coming through the curve, we believe that it fishtailed. Now this is conjecture. This is not proven law enforcement theory, but we believe that it fishtailed, went 180, then went down in the ditch, and then went airborne, and just happened to stick the landing without the vehicle sticking out the sides, or maybe landed in there and floated into a certain position. And you know, without trying to upset, you know, folks that are still grieving, you know, like you said, guardrail probably would have taken that impact, and then we hope that they put something there. But when we got on the scene, and you know, with Mike's discovery, and then it was, we need to go and make sure, you know, this is, you know, Mike's a car guy, so he knows these vehicles. So he says, yes, that's an Impala. Yes, it's the right year range. But then we had to go ahead and put the diver in there, and which was my honor to go ahead and do. And as you can see here, looks like a nice easy dive, but you know, it starts out as iced tea and it goes to black real quick. So we're in there, we've got a camera in, we're trying to get those letters. The right-hand side of the right-hand side of the license plate was completely obscured. I did it by feel first because I know once you disturb the silt, it could go to blackout. I did it by feel first, and then I brushed it off a little, and we were actually able to get the whole thing on video. And at that point, Mike, you know, we actually said a prayer before the three of us went in, because we stopped for a second. You know, we've laughed and smiled a few times on this podcast, but it is grim work. We actually took a moment and said, hey, this is someone's father. You know, this is someone's teacher. This is the community pillar. This is, you know, someone very important. So we actually took a moment. We prayed as a group. Let's hope that we're going to bring Robert home. And then we, you know, set in to go ahead and do the identification. And then I, you know, popped up out of the water with positive ID, and you know, it just hit Mike like a ton of bricks. And he was the one that made the phone call. Mike, you can talk about that.
Yeah, the first thing I did was call Lance Morris. He's the detective working on it, but there was the original detective. Detective Mike Wallace. He was the detective that took the case when this happened. He retired since then, but during this whole thing, Mike had actually become pretty close to Robert's son, Justin. And, during this whole thing, Detective Mike Wallace always kept in close contact after retirement to find out what was going on. And I called him second after I called, the lead detective. Mike came down there in his car, in his regular car, jeans. He shows up, and I think he came over and just gave me a hug from what I remember. And he's like, I can't believe you guys found him. It was just like, he was there. He actually showed up before any law enforcement, any of the authorities showed up. Mike was on scene first. I don't know how far he had to drive, but he
was kind of in the area, and he said, hey, I'm here in an unofficial capacity, but this case means so much to me. He says, this case is my white whale. This is my Moby Dick. This is the one I couldn't solve before I retired.
Yeah.
And then it got handed down to the next detective. And, he came and gave us all hugs, and he just couldn't believe it. And he has been close to the family. We always want law enforcement to make that contact. It's difficult because Mike's been in contact with Justin, the son, as well. But we want to follow procedure. We want to be known as professionals. We don't ever want to be, accused of exploiting grief or anything like that. So we let them, we've decided as a group to just let law enforcement handle that first contact. And then if the family ever wants to know details, if they want to reach out to us and talk to us, we'd be happy to sit down with them or chat with them, or however they want to do it, and fill in those blanks that, certain things that you can't share here. But we just want to be, procedurally correct and trained in a certain way and operate in a certain way.
Yeah. And those detectives that worked on that case, probably one of the best law enforcement agencies we've ever worked with. I mean, just passionate detectives, every one of them, Ben, Mike, Lance, Steve, those 4 guys right there, they cared so much about this case. They were willing to do anything. Mike told me that when he first brought us into this case, obviously we're an outside civilian organization, and, law enforcement typically doesn't work with these type of organizations, like, us people like us, just out of the clear blue. So he had to go to his chief of police. He says, I went to the chief and I said, hey, chief, he said, is it okay? He says, if I bring these guys in, check these guys out. I found them online, Sunshine State Sonar. They messaged me. I want to use them on the Robert Hiker case. He said the chief looked at him and said, Mike, do whatever the hell you need to do to get that case solved. We need to find that guy.
And you guys did it.
Yep.
Man.
And we did
And
it.
we've had, great participation, especially here in Florida, from a lot of organizations. We actually dove hand in hand right alongside with Hillsborough County Sheriffs when we pulled 2 trucks out of Tampa area, just in the county line area. So 2 with them. One of them was actually a former firefighter's truck that was stolen, and it had his, fire helmet badge inside of it. We made contact with him, and he said, "Oh, let those guys keep it." But we actually got to dive with them as their safety diver, and help and assist in the rigging. We did not dive with Pinellas County, but we were kind of there with them all day. We did 2 pre-dives, and then they did the final rigging. In St. Petersburg, they have a great fire dive team that responds to immediate accidents, but they don't have a recovery team. So in St. Petersburg, we've been tasked with doing all their recoveries, which is where we met Doug. He came on out during his little hiatus. And
That's
shows
right.
up to a 2-car pull. It was great. So yeah, we've had great. And then Mike's had a lot of experience in South Florida with Davie PD, Plantation Fire. We did one, and then Broward. Mike, you've done a lot of work with them as well.
Yes, I know. We just got back from there, and Doug, we had a similar situation that you had on that Stephen McCrell case. We went back down there on that Stephen McCrell case. We found 14 vehicles. One of them was a box truck, believe it or not. Some jackass drove a box truck into this lake like 40 feet deep. But but we found 14 vehicles in this one lake. In 72 hours, we located 18 vehicles. So it was kind of funny when we turned all the information over to the Broward County Sheriff's Office. We gave them a list of every vehicle. We marked every vehicle with a noodle and a number, a reference number. We gave them the license plate numbers, makes, models, locations, and they haven't pulled those cars yet. But hopefully they get those cars out soon, and find out if there's any secrets in any of them.
Yeah,
I got a question for you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Sam says, please, can I ask Mike and Ken how their families and supporters feel about their efforts?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I have a wife and kids, and my wife's very supportive. She holds the fort down when I'm gone, and she's been absolutely awesome. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat. I've got someone who's very special to me that I've been with for 3 years that I love and care for. And without her unconditional support, and I mean, with whatever I'm willing to try, whether it's this or something else, it's unconditional support, backing. She'll go in the field with us and take video. She'll make sure we're hydrated, and do everything she can to help support us and the family as well. We've got some firefighters in the family and some other folks that are very supportive as well. As far as followers and supporters, my channel is so new. I have almost no following, so I'd appreciate anyone to come on over on any of my channels and follow me over there. But I'm 6 months behind Mike and a year plus behind Doug as far as the social media aspect goes. I've done this for months and months while unemployed, and just beg, borrow, steal whatever I can put. Well, not steal, but beg and borrow whatever I can to put my 10-year-old dive trailer together. And okay, I could scrape enough money together to buy a boat. And okay, I don't have sonar, I don't have a live scope, but I've got the side scan, and getting started little by little. What I did have was a ton of dive gear because I've done a ton of technical diving. So, big heavy steels, all kinds of, side mount cave diving gear. So I can, go sideways and get little spots like this and operate in the overhead environment in the dark and the oil and all that stuff. So I had a lot of that. So it was just organizing that in a trailer in a manner that I can pick it up and go and be anywhere. And Mike I have to tell him to stop and rest. This guy is an animal. This guy is out 3-4 nights a week in his hometown, and then we'll be like, hey, let's go to Orlando for 6 hours in the middle of the night, or hey, let's go here, let's go there. Every time I turn around, we had just finished this one. I mean, we're going to be operating in Tampa. Friday?
Friday we got a search going on Friday.
Is that for Mr. Helfrey?
Yeah, we're searching for Helfrey over there. We got some information that leads us over there because he was dating a girl over there. So we're considering 2 different areas. We're still considering Palm Harbor, but we're also considering Tampa based on some new information that he was dating a girl in Tampa.
That's the type of information that leads you to solve a case. You know, it's the little things, it's the places of significance when you determine your search area that, you know, really lays it all out. You know, it's simply not knowing a significant other, the places of employment, places that they frequented, such as family events and so forth. That those are all significant factors when you're determining lost person behavior. That's sort of the textbook term for lost person behavior. You know, it's who were they, what were their habits, where did they like to go, and so forth. And hopefully that new piece of information will lead you guys to finding him. I know you've done a lot of work. Both of you have done a lot of work already trying to find him, and it's sort of like your hometown too. You know,
it is. It's like personal to me, the Robert Helfrey one. I've been working on it since day one. It was the first case. It's my first case, and it's like I'm never going to quit on this until he's brought home. This guy's also a veteran. He led the invasion into Iraq during Desert Storm in the early 90s. He was on the front lines of that. This guy deserves to be brought home. I know his wife. I know as well as ex-girlfriend and his daughters, and you know the family. I've met so many of his ex-boss, which actually gave me that lead about this girl he was dating in Tampa. So, I'm not. This is case is my big white whale. I want this one solved more than anything right now, and I'm gonna keep hammering at it. This is one of these cases. This means so much to me. It's personal.
Yeah, and the veteran aspect real big to me as well. I served 8 years in the Marine Corps, hence the name Recon Dive Recovery. And if you think about the Mission 22 and the self-harm aspect, I know certain words we can't see on YouTube, but the self-harm aspect is a thing with the veteran community. Yeah, Doug's wearing it. He understands. So, you know, when I see something like, you know, when I see a veteran out there, I wonder, you know, is this someone who maybe, you know, had a self-harm scenario, couldn't deal with something? Either way, whether it's, you know, civilian or former military, we're going to look for them and put the same amount of effort into it. But it means even that much more. The first case I worked on was a missing veteran. And then we ran into the database hadn't been updated. He'd actually already been recovered. But, you know, we put the same amount of effort into it no matter what. Yeah. And you know, I've got that other picture up there. I also wanted to mention the divers there with Volusia County dive team. I have never seen a vehicle rigged so quickly and so correctly in a short amount of time. That, you know, we said, hey, you have to do a 4-point on this. I had already checked. You know, we did the plate ID, but I also did a vehicle assessment. It was missing. You know, a lot of people say, oh, the vehicle's in great shape. Well, the bumpers were both damaged. The trunk was a little pulled up. The mirror was missing on the other side, and we don't know the damage to the underside. And at a certain point, you know, we have to step away because it becomes a crime scene once we have remains identified. But we said, hey, we've got those windows closed. We only have one window down. We don't know if it was broken or if it was rolled down or if it was down when he was driving. And we had other visual impact things. Let's just say that, leave it at that. So we said, hey, you need to 4-point rig this thing. You need to either, you know, block that window off or, you know, do it so slow in a manner that it's going to, the water is going to trickle out to, you know, we have to be critical to not lose anything. And they did exactly that. They brought it up at the perfect angle. The wrecker was awesome, Fryer's wrecker. And they just set it down so gently. And when the identification came, it came from an officer who had actually recognized him, as you said, as a student. Of course, no positive ID until DNA, but they knew right away that they were able to, you know, give that relief to the Hyka family.
Awesome. Yeah, I was looking at the recovery photographs, and I was impressed as well with the rigging that they had on that vehicle, being as though they used chains. The tires on his vehicle were really perfect. They were ideal for recovering a vehicle when you have those open spaces within the rim. That's best case scenario when you're recovering any vehicle, especially when you have to go 4 points.
Yeah, and then you were there in St. Petersburg where we had to haul a 200-pound cable all the way out to something far offshore. We had to put both boats next to each other and push the hook out there from the giant wrecker. With
Don't
John
forget
and Mike.
don't forget the Harbor Freight strap.
Yeah. We took everything we had to get these vehicles out, and it took 45 minutes of me single hand digging through heavy clay just to get around the tire, and then digging into the tire and then penetrating through just to get one strap on. And we thought those were never going to come out, and they did. In this case, they were shallow water. It was deep enough to require scuba, because you have to be under there to actually rig. The female deputy had to go underwater, fully submerged and rig that. But it was easy to get to. So not a lot of digging, easy to rig, in a great way, and just pull it up, just gingerly. They did a great job on that, and fast and respectful. And they allowed us access to the scene, right up to the point where there was an identification made. And then they said, "Gentlemen, this is a crime scene. Thank you for everything you've done." So we backed off. We went out to the street to do our closing work there.
Awesome. Guys, if you're watching this right now, make sure you hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to me. Also, most importantly, you need to go follow these guys. This live is about spreading awareness for what these guys are doing. So the same way that you support me, you follow me, you found me, go find these guys, connect with their pages. It's really, really important that you do that. They need support so that they can continue to do this. It's not easy to do this. It's not cheap to do this. And they need all the help that they can get. The more help that they can get, the more help that they can provide for others. Leave a comment in this live stream when this video is over. Leave a comment as well. I will not be moderating any comments. Say what you want to say, however you want to say it. But if it's too foul or too explicit, you will be blocked. Just know that. Let's get into some questions for Mike and Ken. I saw a few come up here. Somebody wants to know when you're getting sonar, I believe, Ken. And are you?
Yeah, so I have I've got a Garmin 93 SV, and I've got the Live Scope as well. So we've got two boats. Mine is 8.5 foot, sits a little higher in the water, goes a lot faster than Mike's, even with the electric motor. We both just got gas motors, and we use those to go on. We did, I think, a 9.5 mile canal search in South Florida, and that's where we recovered a Volkswagen Jetta that we are 90% sure it was involved in a 2015 hit and run. It had a body imprint in the glass. A vehicle fitting that description at that time had there was a previous impact to a pedestrian, and then this vehicle hit and actually killed that pedestrian and disappeared. We found it ditched in a canal. The police go up to the house and knock on the door. "Where's your Jetta?" "Oh, I think my cousin took it." "Well, you never reported it stolen? You never told the insurance?" "No, nothing." So obviously we think something's hinky there, right? But yeah, I've got a boat. It's faster, but it's heavier. So we use my boat on larger bodies of water, and then Mike is just the frog. He's the pond hopping master. His boat's lighter, faster, in and out of the truck bed. I've got mine in a trailer. It takes longer. So we both do have sonar, and then we have the Striker cast bobbers that we use for depth contour.
And we actually we also have the large boat. We've got the 21-foot vessel. It's a Grady White, and that one's equipped with a Lowrance Elite Series, and it's got the Garmin Live Scope in that as well, the 94 SV.
Yeah. There you go, Mike. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How many cases are you guys working on currently?
I'd say about 12 cases. 12.
Now, this is just in the state of Florida, right?
Just in the state of Florida, we've got 12. Yeah. Ken, if you count up all the ones we have right now in Broward County.
Yeah,
I mean,
just in Broward County, 8 or 10 down in there. We've got 2 in the Pinellas area. We've got 1 in the Ocala area that's actually a double. It's 2 gentlemen that met together with a rental car and disappeared. I've got a couple here in Brevard County. I split time between St. Petersburg, which is where Mike's at, and Brevard County area near Melbourne Beach, that area. So we get to go back and forth across the state all the time. Every week I'm making that trip. So we get to kind of cover a lot of ground that way. There are a few up in the Jacksonville, St. Augustine area that we haven't even been able to look at because we're so busy down south right now. The majority are down south because there's just so much deep water there. little more crime element there, but we have a lot of that over here too.
I got another great question here, man. Question to all of you from Lara Connolly. Question to all of you. How do you handle your emotions or ground yourself after each positive human remains fine?
Yeah, I think, I'll start on that. During the Karen Moore one, when me and Britton Lockhart found Karen Moore, I think I went through a stage of depression for about 3 weeks. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And, still to this day, I still think about her. Almost every day. It comes up every day. I think about her. It took me a little while to sort of snap out of like this funk that I was in. Someone could be sitting there talking to me, saying something to me, and in the back of my mind, I'm not even listening really to what they're saying. I'm thinking about Karen and and what happened and how this woman died. And this one seems like it's been a little better. Maybe the more I do it, the better I'm getting. But it's right after that you sort of like go into this weird you can't describe it. It's kind of like a little depression, and then it wears off. The best thing for me was getting back out there and searching again. That's what made me move on. That's why I'm really looking forward. So tomorrow night we got a search plan tomorrow evening for Robert Helfrey, and then we got another one planned on Friday. I can't wait to get back out there and start searching again. That's kind of my therapy of moving on from this stuff.
Yeah, it's get back on the horse. You'll see with veterans that get stuck in a PTSD moment. One of the cures for that is the rapid eye movement therapy, where they kind of reprocess through that and then get their themselves to move forward. So getting right back on the horse, I think, is a big part of it. I'm a little desensitized to it, having been a military guy as well. But the other end of it is, you got to think that everything happens for a reason sometimes, and we're going out there. We had Good Friday and then this lull on Saturday. And Mike told me that day, I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
And we've also heard that before, but we both kind of felt that gut feeling. And then it was, Easter Sunday the next morning. So for myself, I'm driving home and I'm like, hey, great job. We did a little bit of, debrief on the drive home. And then it's, hey, we're going to disconnect for 3 or 4 days. We're going to go back to our families. I'm going to spend, Easter. I'm going to sunrise Easter service at my church, and then I hit the second service as well. My pastor is the pastor for the fire department here in Melbourne Beach Volunteer Fire Department as well, and he's done a lot of hospice work and a lot of loss work. So I have those resources if I ever need them. But really, you have some of those somber moments, and I think it actually helps us to get out of bird dog search mode and just sit for a second and go, this is someone's family we're bringing home. When we get to that spot. Now, when it's stolen vehicles and all that, yeah, we clown around a little bit because we do grim work, so we have to be entertained every now and then. But when it comes down to this type of business, it's all respect, and then we spend a little bit of time thinking about how this is affecting the family. Right now, the Hika family just got 100% DNA confirmation, and they're planning a funeral. And that's something they were not planning on doing right now. And they've already processed a lot of this grief, but they've also had those open questions. So, maybe one day if we speak to them, we'll get to understand their side of it a little bit better as well. But you feel better about yourself knowing that you brought a little bit of relief. Mike, you speak about closure all the time. What was it that you usually say about that?
Yeah, I think you guys had said that once before, that when you lose someone like this, there's really no closure. It's just answers. It's how do you have closure? When a death like this happens, it's hard. You never get over losing somebody. I know. I've lost my mother, and I think about her. I still think about my mother all the time. It's. I guess you move on with life. You move on, but I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the word closure.
Yeah, no, it's never closure. You'd never get over losing somebody that you love. And when you don't know, that's a nightmare. Losing somebody you love and not knowing anything, them just up and vanishing, is almost one of the worst things that can happen to an individual. And you're forced to move forward. How do you move forward? You have to put walls up. And we all know about putting walls up and disguising things. And then when we make these discoveries, it's answers. It's never closure, because you never get over losing somebody you love. But
I heard one time, what is the value of grief? Because someone would pay everything they have to relieve that grief, to know where their missing person is, or to be able to get over it. But there's nothing you can buy with grief. So what is the value of it? And it's this intangible thing. But when we help relieve that, that's a feeling that I can't quite describe it to the followers and the folks that are listening right now. It's something that we are just driven to do. You wake up every day wanting to do it. I wish I had found this 10 years ago. I would have, not become a director for an IT organization and had a different career path. Because once you find something you are passionately driven, there's this thing called Ikigai, which is the intersection of what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can get paid at. We've got 3 of those right now. We're not getting paid doing this. It's costing a lot for us to do this, but we love it so much that the money doesn't matter. We're just here doing it, and we want to keep doing it. And if I can just break even one day and be serving in this capacity, that's enough for me. I know Mike's out there even more than I am. I know he's got that drive in him. Doug, you're doing it all the time. You're driven to do that as well. So it's just this natural thing that once you get into, being able to help like this, man, there's nothing like it.
It's powerful. It is extremely powerful to get out there and do what hasn't been done and what somebody else hasn't been able to do. And when that is possible, it's very special. It's magical.
Out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing a comment from Lisa Kay, and it says, honestly, you do better than police. I do want to address that real quick, because police are doing the best they can. And they often have equipment from 2 generations ago that guys are looking at once every 6 months when someone disappears in water. Mike is on brand new equipment, and he's looking at it, multiple nights a week, every weekend. And once a quarter, we do these all-nighter trips where we bang stuff out till 3 and 4 in the morning and get up at 7 and go again. So it's experience, it's technology generations, and law enforcement finds most of the stuff that they're looking for. We go looking for the stuff that's the near impossible, and we keep going at it. We have forever to get it right. They have a very limited time and budget. They can't make their whole, they have crimes to solve. They have people to protect. They can't do this full time. And neither can we, but we do what we can to kind of supplement that. And the departments that work with us do a bang up job. They'll share a little more information with Mike, and, that point us in the right direction.
Yeah, it's the use of resources. Either they have them or they don't, which there's a lot of departments and a lot of areas you guys are working with, I've worked with, they don't even have the resources. And then if they do have the resources, it's okay, how often do they use them? How well do they understand them? And also they have to justify their manpower and the use and the implementation of those resources. If there's nothing active or hot, there's a smoking gun for them to go off of, they are not going to be allowed to continue to work the case. That's just the way it is. And, that leaves a gray area on the back end for individuals like us to come in. We don't have to justify anything. And the effect of this is similar to any other realm where third parties, contractors are involved. And for those of you who know, operational systems, the military, things of that nature, contractors are the ones that always get it done.
We get calls like that. We'll be on scene with a new department we've never worked with before, and hey, we found this thing. Hey, we dove this thing. This is what it's going to take to pull it. You need this type of wrecker. You need this type of sling. You need to rig it this way. Otherwise, you're going to dump the contents, et cetera, et cetera. And they kind of look at us like, okay, now what? So, and it's, do you have your own team? And if so, they usually call them. Oftentimes it's, we don't know who to call. You guys are the experts. Go ahead and do it. Just be safe. Yeah. Or it's, what's this going to cost us? That's not going to cost you anything. Oh, well then shoot, get right in there. So yeah, it's that kind of thing where, and we love departments like that because we love working with them, and we build that kind of trust with them over time. Sometimes with new departments, they get a little gruff, but as you get more successful, you build a reputation, you have a list of vehicles you've recovered, departments you've worked with, then you start getting that trust. And some of those investigations, you get that inside info, which, Mike and his team, they're the ones that dig deep. I spend time on the maps. I love maps. I love documenting everything we've done, where we're going. And I like command and control while Mike's in the boat. And then I like switching to the diving. But he does a lot of the investigative side, the open source digging.
Well, Ken, I think, I was thinking about it. I think between all of us, between you and us, we spend more time looking at maps and talking about these cases, just talking about these cases than we actually do out there. That's how much, I mean, it's just sometimes hundreds of hours of talking about these cases and coming up with theories and looking at maps, studying the Google Earth images. This stuff is extremely time consuming, as you know, Doug.
Well, yeah, and when you know, the sexy stuff is the diving. The sexy stuff is right around the boat. You know, no one wants to spend 10 hours editing a video. No one wants to spend hours turning wrenches on motors. You know, some of those support things, building out a trailer so that nothing, you know, falls out of it when you're going down the road. Some of those, you know, bushwhacking through spots where, you know, 10-foot alligators and snakes and thorns, and, you know, I have an anthill living inside of my car right now that I need to take care of. So, you know, we get into these weird spots. So, you know, a lot of times volunteers, hey, I'm a diver, I'm an open water diver, and I'd love to come on the adventure. Great. Are you willing to do 10 hours of lifting heavy boats into swamps? You know, if not, this is not the thing for you. If you're dedicated to that level, absolutely, man, come on out. We need the muscle.
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions? Put them in the comments section. We'll put them up. Make sure you guys go. Again, if you're just not tuning in, go over to Sunshine State Sonar, Recon Dive Recovery, and the links are in the description below. Follow these guys. They're out there doing amazing things. A lot, you know, some of you know them, a lot of you don't. These guys didn't just pop up today. These guys have been doing this a while. You guys want to talk about the Karen Adams case real quick?
Karen Moore?
Karen Moore. I'm so sorry. Karen Moore.
Yeah. Karen Moore, we found her on January 6th. She went missing 22 years ago. And that's a foul play case. What happened with her was she files a restraining order against her estranged husband that she had just, separated from and was going through a divorce. And 2 days after that restraining order was filed, she went missing. She was an overnight nurse, and the police went to her house. They noticed her vehicle was missing. Her cell phone was on the bed in a box, from what I heard, and she was nowhere to be found. They suspected the husband from day one. At the time, he had moved to Pompano, which is about 25 minutes north, up by Stephen McCrell. And they were searching bodies of water on there because they had the theory, well, if he did put her in a body of water, it probably would have been walking distance to his home, to his residence, where his new residence. So, we went down there kind of with a fresh mind. I was working with Britain that weekend with Depths of History, and it was literally the first pond we checked. We checked the pond. It was like 2 miles from her home. It was a Publix, behind a Publix, and we're running a pass on the backside of the lake and pick up on a car upside down, 22 feet deep, and Britton dove on it, and it was Karen's car. When we called the detective to tell him what was going on, I mean, he almost didn't believe us. He didn't believe us, and it took him forever to get down there. And when he came down there, he's just standing there, and he's just like looking out at the water, just like staring out at the water, not saying anything. And it was such an awkward moment. And I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "You see that building over there?" I says, "Across the lake?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That's her ex-husband's office building." And he's just like shaking his head. He's just in awe. And so they pulled the vehicle out, and they did find her remains in there. And very sad, because her daughter grew up without her mom. She was 8 years old at a Girl Scout camp at the time. And so, she ended up in foster care, and she's doing well now. She's just an awesome person. And that was a pretty emotional case.
And I was supposed to be on that trip with you guys, and I know that you had planned it with Britain in January, and I had some work going on, so I couldn't quite make it. And then I'm so glad you guys found it. And the other thing is that I wanted to mention was John Martin, the hardest working guy on our team. John is Mike's brother, and he works so hard. And every now and then it's the Karen Moore trip. He wasn't there the day of discovery, and so I have this little thing right here. You can see this this patch here. It's the black flag diver. So you have the dive flag, the red dive flag that everyone uses. We run a black flag when we're working on a victim recovery case, and kind of signifies, just like law enforcement and firefighters, they wear a black stripe over the badge to signify a loss in the department. We're going out trying to solve these cases for the losses of the families. So we're black flag divers. And one of my traditions is, when someone has recovered a victim like that, we present them with the black flag. And I actually presented Mike with one. And then a little bit later, I presented Doug with one as well when we met him, because he's done, I don't know how many recoveries, 20, 30. But then John had just missed the opportunity to earn his black flag on Karen Moore. He came the next day during the pull. But I'm like, man, you got to be there to earn the flag. So on this one, John was there. He earned his flag. That'll be part of our upcoming episode. We are planning on putting a full length episode together for this. And John did earn his black flag. And that guy gets into the deepest muck, lifting the heaviest equipment. And he's our smallest guy.
He's an
and
animal.
I swear he does the heaviest lifting out of all of us guys. I'm the biggest guy. I lift the least.
He does.
And yeah, but so shout out to John Martin, a black flag diver now, and keep that tradition going as we continue on.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I have that flag. You've seen it. I'm using it.
Yep.
I like its uniqueness, and it's definitely been adopted by me for sure. I like different. Different is I don't like everything everybody else does. Try to be
and I owe one to Britain for the Karen Moore recovery, and any other teams that we're working with. It's a internal sign of respect for us to share that and to present someone with that. It's just kind of like, hey, you're one of us kind of thing. So yeah, real proud of that, and real proud of John for earning that.
Yeah, on the case we were just talking about, that's crazy. That was it 22 years later? How many years was it?
22 years. Yep, 22 years.
22
the
years
pond she was
later.
found in, right? It's behind.
Yeah. You're breaking up a little
Oh
bit.
yeah. You go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's crazy that 22 years later, she is found literally behind her husband's office building where he went to work every day, a pond that arguably only he would know about, and he would watch every single day.
Exactly.
If he allegedly did this, it's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
I know.
And to Mr. Heike's family and to her family, much love, respect, prayers to you guys. Glad you guys have answers. Like any case, when we make a discovery, it's the answers that matter.
And we're really thankful that this one was not foul play. We were called to look at a foul play incident for Mr. Heike. We're so glad that it was just an accident. We took one look at it. We started putting it together, and we looked at the access and the police as well. And it's just a horrible accident. And you feel so much better when it's not an element of foul play like that. When it is, I don't know if you ever do get that relief. That's real difficult. And, Christina Baber and the family there with Karen Moore, having to struggle with, that end of it. And we can't speculate too much on that. There'll be a law enforcement working on that.
Do you guys have anything you want to finish up with? You guys want to put out there? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I just want to say how much I appreciate teaming up with Mike and John and the team, and getting the opportunity to meet Doug and some of the other folks, work with Britain in the future here real soon. And we would be less successful working separately out there. I've seen it with Adam and Nug. I've seen it with Chaos Divers. They bring a group in. A lot of these folks, some of the guys you used to work with as well are out there. When you have a team, and several of you are as passionate as the others, you're so much more effective. We bounce stuff off each other. We call each other and we talk like old wives. I mean, we're just constantly thinking about theories and diving into stuff. And if one of us isn't available, the other one's brother is available. And it's, we're that much more effective when we have 2-3 brains and a couple extra bodies, and we can get into deeper stuff and more difficult passages and all that. So, I really just want to thank, Mike for saying one day, come on out and search with us. And then, hey, do you want to dive? Well, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I love to dive. That's my specialty. So it's complimentary.
I'll say, Ken, Ken is like an amazing diver. This guy has absolutely no fear. I mean, it doesn't matter the situation, the time of night. I mean, we located a car. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. He started suiting up, and I'm like, Ken, let's do it. No, I mean, you are a passionate diver. You're just an incredible diver. Meeting you has been the best thing that's happened to Sunshine State Sonar. And you know what's good about us, right? Is we disagree all the time on our theories about where these people are, and we go back and forth with our disagreements. But that's what makes us so great. That's what makes us a great team. You know, I hope to keep working with you forever on this stuff, and it's been amazing working with you, man.
I'm
You're
used
the
to
best.
diving in caves, so like the time of day, the light, none of that matters to me. Like I got a big light. I'm used to working in zero viz. I can feel my way around. Let's go. You know, as long as the gators aren't bigger than me. And on one of them in Cocoa, Mike was doing gator patrols to try to keep them away from us. And I heard that the key is that you sink to the bottom right away because they're ambush predators on top. So you want to get down as soon as possible, and hopefully they'll leave you alone. As long as they're not, 7 feet and above, 6-7 feet, I'm fine with that. Snakes, I don't like snakes, but other than that, I'll dive in just about anything.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear whenever I'm in Florida are the moccasins, the snakes, because they don't care, and they have attitudes. They throw fits and they will bite anything.
Yep.
The gators, the gators, they're just big puppy dogs. And
so I've got a question.
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone here has seen a lull, and then they've seen some paperwork and some site announcements and all that. What is next for our man here, Doug Bishop?
Oh man, that's the $1 million question. So we just launched United Search Corps, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we are in the building process. We're fundraising to get the necessary equipment that we need, and we have several other projects that are in the work. I'm not at liberty to discuss them right now, but there'll be a lot of things that will come out for sure. And this has only just begun. We're networking with resources. Speaking of resources, we are only as strong as our volunteers and the resources that we have access to. So we're drawing on all of that right now in this phase 2 that we're in, and there's a lot of great things to come. We went back to the drawing board and we took what we've learned and we changed it, and we're moving in a different direction, completely different direction. With a bigger mission, and that's what it's all about, is doing the right thing with the right support. We have a lot of great people behind us, and we're in the takeoff phase right now, and there'll be a lot of things that come out soon. I'll be down there with you guys soon. Lots of stuff all over, really.
And I also wanted to give a shout out to you on that. I saw a lot of the the ethical search, the ways of dealing with things, having aftercare. These are things that a larger organization like yours can bring to bear with the greater resources than what we have. So being affiliated with that, I can't wait to splash with you and get you out here. But
no doubts.
Be part of that brotherhood that has those resources that we can refer people to would be huge.
Yeah, this is 100% not about me. If you know anything about a 501c3, no one owns it. It belongs to the government. It doesn't belong to me, and that's what it's about. Full transparency and utilizing the resources in the most effective way to benefit the public and the mission at hand. With that being said, the resources and the volunteers that we are going to gather, and organize, they're not just for United Search Corps. We're going to assist you guys, other dive teams that are doing this, and so forth. It's not just about the cases we're working on, but together in this entire community that's being formed. That's what we're going to assist. Where can we make improvements? What can we do better? How can we make a difference? And the impact is going to be great. So for those of you who are watching this, please support us. We need all the help that we can get right now. Mental health professionals, if you have any experience with that, if you're a counselor, please reach out to us, unitedsearchcorps.org. Fill out one of those forms for family services. We want to hear from you because there's a lot of these cases that we investigate alongside of families, and they need some aftercare and they need some guidance. And if they elect to have it, we want to make sure that we can put that in place for them to care for them once we leave. And for those of you who are watching this as well, if you're in the state of Florida and you can add any value to what these gentlemen are doing, you need to reach out to them. Their links are in the description below. And these guys need a ton of help. They're already making the impossible happen. And the more help they get, the more help that they can provide their community there in the state of Florida. So reach out to them if you're in Florida, if you want to volunteer, if you have an asset or any way whatsoever you think you can add value to what these guys are doing, hit them up for sure. Let me check something really quick. I have something bonus right here. In 10 minutes, everybody, we got 560 people watching this at the moment. In 10 minutes, I need every single one of you, including you, Ken, and you, Mike. I need you to go over to Chaos Divers. Chaos Divers is going live. They have some big announcements, something that has transpired over the last 24 hours. And they have some great news to share with you guys. So please go support them as well. They're going to be going live here in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. So make sure you connect when we end this. Go over there to Chaos Divers channel and show them some support and love as well.
Awesome.
You got it.
All right, we're gonna close this one out.
All right.
Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Doug.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, everyone over to Chaos. Let's go take a look.
Yeah, you can go over to Chaos right now and get ready. Oh, we got one more. We'll be headed over there. Love them too. I have a couple of questions here. Hold on. I'm getting a lot of feedback coming in here. Carson's in here. Hey, Carson, love you, buddy. All right. That's it. Much love to all of you guys. For all of the super chats, everybody that's donated, thank you so much. It's a big help. Really appreciate that. From Australia, the UK, Canada, much love to you guys. Thank you for your support. We'll be back. We're going to be doing this every single week. We're gonna hold a platform. We're gonna have some different cases that we're gonna go over in detail. We're gonna switch some things up for a little bit. We're also gonna be out searching and so forth. You never know what's gonna come up. You never know what's gonna come up. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell notification, and you know what? Like these guys' channel. These guys are out there doing amazing things, man. Go follow those guys and head over right now to Chaos Divers, please. All right, you guys have a wonderful night.
See you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Mike. Bye, Ken.
See you.
Hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell notification. Do that right now, or I'm going to come get your cat.